This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. Now, not every one of my episodes are related to investments, but a few are. Today's is. Today's podcast is most definitely related to investments, related to trading. I'm going to read some of my favorite lines today. Lines, quotes, paragraphs, all attributed to one man. Circa 1920s, 1930s, somewhere in there. Now, he was surely influenced by traders that came in the centuries before him. But what I'm going to read today is his work, his thinking. Remember that stocks are never too high for you to begin buying or too low to begin selling. Seems so easy, right? Stocks are never too high for you to begin buying. Why is that? You have a stop in place. You can't predict. So you need to get in and know when you're going to get out. That will become more clear over the course of this episode, I'm sure. Losing money is the least of my troubles. A loss never bothers me after I take it. But being wrong, not taking the loss, that is what does the damage to the pocketbook and to the soul. Dead on. Prices, like everything else, move along the line of least resistance. They will do whatever comes easiest. Prices are what? Prices are buyers and sellers meeting at the point. The point is the price. It's just prospect theory. It's Daniel Kahneman 101 embedded in the price. The nature of the game as it is played is such that the public should realize that the truth cannot be told by the few who know. Well, what does that mean? You're never going to know all the fundamentals. The only thing you can know for sure, the only truth you can know for sure is the price. A man must know himself thoroughly if he is going to make a good job out of trading in the speculative markets. To know what I was capable of in the line of folly was a long educational step. I sometimes think that no price is too high for a speculator to pay to learn that which will keep him from getting the swelled head. Such great common sense, but how common is any of this? The sucker has always tried to get something for nothing, and the appeal in all booms is always, frankly, to the gambling instinct, aroused by the cupidity and spurred by pervasive prosperity. People who look for easy money invariably pay for the privilege of proving conclusively that it cannot be found on this sordid earth. If a man didn't make mistakes, he'd own the world in a month. But if he didn't profit by his mistakes, he wouldn't own a blessed thing. It takes a man a long time to learn all of the lessons of all of his mistakes. They say there are two sides to everything, but there is only one side to the stock market, and it is not the bull side or the bear side, but the right side. It took me longer to get that general principle fixed firmly in my mind. Fear and hope remain the same. Therefore, the study of the psychology of speculators is as valuable as it ever was. Weapons change, but strategy remains strategy on the New York Stock Exchange as on the battlefield. I think the clearest summing up of the whole thing was expressed by Thomas Woodlock when he declared, "The principles of successful stock speculation are based on the supposition that people will continue in the future to make the mistakes that they have made in the past." Now, some of you are sitting out there right now. I know you are, because I see the feedback that comes to me occasionally. I see the tweets. And you're already saying, Covel's not giving us a specific rule. I need a specific rule. I'm going to go write a nasty review on Amazon because he didn't give me a specific rule. and they spin out of control and wander off into the wilderness, convinced that I was withholding the secret from them. There are so many ways to detect a trend in the context of a trend-following system. However, while there are so many ways, they're all pretty much the same. They achieve the same goal: to get you in a little after the trend has started and to always get you out after the trend has ended. That means you don't get in early or get out early. You get in late and get out late. That's kind of the reality of the world. That's kind of the reality of the markets. Unfortunately, it's not the reality of what 99% of all market prognosticators will tell you. That's just life. Everyone's got to sell something. Everyone's got to send a message out. It's up to you to decide. Does that message make sense? Is there evidence for that message? Can I justify? Can I verify what this guy is saying? Is there any evidence? That's what you must ask yourself every damn time. Back to my 1920s trader. To learn that a man can make foolish plays for no reason, whatever, was a valuable lesson. It cost me millions to learn that another dangerous enemy to a trader is his susceptibility to the urgings of a magnetic personality when plausibly expressed by a brilliant mind. Boy, we've all seen that, haven't we, huh? It has always seemed to me, however, that I might have learned my lesson quite as well if the cost had only been 1 million. But fate does not always let you fix the tuition fee. She delivers the educational wallop and presents her own bill, knowing you have to pay for it, no matter what the amount may be. This next one is one of my all-time favorites. There is nothing new in Wall Street. There can't be, because speculation is as old as the damn hills. Whatever happens in the stock market today has happened before, and it will happen again. If you doubt me, start over. If you doubt that sentence, there is nothing new in Wall Street. There can't be, because speculation is as old as the hills. Whatever happens in the stock market today has happened before and will happen again. Really and truly, if you doubt that statement, start over. You are completely on the wrong path if you think that's false. You're nowhere close to reality. Guaranteed you'll lose a fortune. Guaranteed your life will be an absolute disaster if you can't accept that statement. Now, of course, we can still have a beer together, still laugh about whatever insane moment of the day happens. But between me and you, we'll always know that you messed up. You didn't get it. You didn't see it. You let the greed get the best of you. Let me continue. I always made money when I was sure I was right before I began. What beat me was not having brains enough to stick to my own game. That is, to play the market only when I was satisfied that precedents favored me to play. There is a time for all things, but I didn't know it. And that is precisely what beats so many men in Wall Street who are very far from being in the main sucker class. There is the plain fool who does the wrong thing at all times everywhere. But there is also the Wall Street fool who thinks he must trade all the time. No man can always have adequate reasons for buying or selling stocks daily or sufficient knowledge to make his play an intelligent play. This desire for constant action, irrespective of underlying conditions, is responsible for many losses in Wall Street, even among the professionals who feel that they must take home some money every day, as though they were working for regular wages. I was only a kid, remember? I did not know that what I learned later, what made me 15 years later wait 2 long weeks and see a stock on which I was very bullish go up 30 points before I felt that it was safe to buy it. A stock operator, hint, a stock operator has to fight a lot of expensive enemies within himself. I don't know whether I make myself plain, but I never lose my temper over the stock market. I never argue with the tape. Getting sore at the market doesn't get you anywhere. Easier said than done, of course. But go to my website. Listen to every podcast episode that I have had with the behavioral pros. the world-class behavioral pros. Trendfollowing.com/behavior. Now let me get back to my 1920s wisdom. That wisdom that, of course, is timeless. I'm not reading this today because I think this is useless. I'm not reading 1920s wisdom because it has no value. This is it. This is life. This is the shit that will make you a fortune. I know those guys that are still sitting out there right now waiting for the secret number that will make everything better. They're cussing right now under their breath. They're not hearing the secret number. They're hearing generalities that don't explain it all. I'm not giving everything that they need. There's more. Something's missing. That's a whole class of investor, by the way. There's a certain archetype, a certain investor archetype, and that's the guy that thinks something is being withheld from him. And until he finds it, he will never have success. Of course, he'll never find this thing that he looks for. So it's a given he'll never have success. It's a vicious circle. It's like the crazy dog. Everyone had one of those crazy dogs that chase their tail. That's this investor. The crazy investor that chases his tail for his entire life, never to realize that biting his tail and running his circles doesn't really help. Let me get back to the wisdom. Brokers always had the hope of getting away from me what I had taken from them. They regarded my winnings as temporary loans. Simple lesson. Your broker, if you still have one that's a human body, is not your friend. It's just somebody to place your trades. You don't want them for anything at all, except a good fill. That's it. Another one of my all-time favorites. After spending many years in Wall Street and after making and losing millions of dollars, I want to tell you this. It was never my thinking that made the big money for me. It was always my sitting. Got that? My sitting tight. It is no trick at all to be right on the market. You always find lots of early bulls in bull markets and early bears in bear markets. I've known many men who are right at exactly the right time and began buying or selling stocks when prices were at the very level which should show the greatest profit. And their experience invariably matched mine. That is, they made no real money out of it. Men who can both be right and sit tight are uncommon. I found it one of the hardest things to learn, but it's only after a stock operator, hint again, but it's only after a stock operator has firmly grasped this that he can make big money. It is literally true that millions come easier to a trader after he knows how to trade than hundreds did in the days of his ignorance. When you listen to this 1920s wisdom, don't you just immediately realize that almost every book, every piece of insight, the good stuff that you've perhaps heard or read was lifted, was inspired, came from somewhere else? Perhaps the very source that I'm reading? Nothing's new. That human nature thing, that greed and fear, it will never change. It won't change for you. It won't change for your kids. It won't change for your kids. Now, maybe if this AI stuff gets to a point, and check out my Robin Hansen podcast on this, if this AI stuff gets to a point where us human beings are expendable, well, maybe then all bets are off and all this market insight stuff is worthless. But for the time being, while we're all still human, we need to buy and sell. And that will manifest in a price at any given moment. And that price is the damn most important piece of information you have about anything. Nothing else is as important as that price. I love this next one. Pure trend following. People don't seem to grasp easily the fundamentals of stock trading. I've often said that to buy on a rising market is the most comfortable way of buying stocks. Now, the point is not so much to buy as cheap as possible or go short at top prices, but to buy or sell at the right time. When I'm bearish and I sell a stock, each sale must be at a lower level than the previous sale. When I'm buying, the reverse is true. I must buy on a rising scale. I don't buy long stock on a scale down. I buy on a scale up. Remember that stocks are never too high for you to begin buying or too low to begin selling. But after the initial transaction, don't make a second unless the first shows you a profit. Wait and watch. You can clearly see this 1920s wisdom is pure trend following. The best traders are trend following traders. The most money has been made by trend following traders. There are other forms of other things that might work. They might work for a period of time. You might be able to isolate your one market hero who started 60 years ago, who has made more money than everybody else, and there's no one else like him. You can find that one guy. There's always going to be that one guy. The trick, and this is easily found across the trend following universe, can you find more than one trader making money this way? Can you find evidence of their trading going back decades? The answer is, of course, you can. Much of that evidence is in my first book, Trend Following. It actually includes some of that evidence in my second book, The Complete Turtle Trader, as well. Great resources to give you that foundation of like, wow, okay, somebody did this before me. I'm not the first. I'm not the only one. No, you're not. But that's okay. You don't need to be the first. You don't need to be only. That's ego at play. Put the ego aside. This is about making money. Most people, most of your competitors are so worried about ego and making whatever their performance is look pretty and justified with a story, some fantastical story, they never get anywhere. They just want the fantasy. The fantasy is more soothing. It's nice sometimes to have a fantasy. It's not nice for me, but I think for those people that live inside a straitjacket with one of those red balls in their mouth and the gag on and maybe a blindfold, and they sit in their closet and they're waterboarded all day long, well, those people need a fantasy. They need a story to keep going. They need something that makes them happy. Now, I don't know why any of that sadistic crap would make anybody happy, but it clearly makes people happy. People love to lose. People love to lose in crazy ways. They want to lose. That's one of the tricks to knowing how to win. To understand that the vast majority of the competition, your peers, don't want to win. They're more interested in, what does my family think of me? What does my neighbor think of me? What does my broker think of me? What do my friends think of me? You see, it's all about image. But if you look ahead to when you're 80 years old and you look back and you want to imagine, what was your success like? Did you find the success? Well, if you do what everyone else is doing, guaranteed when you're 80 years old, you will have what everyone else has. It's a simple equation. But if you want something different, if you want the larger stake, the larger amount in your account, if you want more freedom, you're going to have to do something a little bit different, perhaps a lot different. Because when you're 80 years old and you look back, who the hell wants to say they lived a boring life? Didn't take any chances. Followed the rule book. Listened to the cookbook. The government said for me to do this. I did that. I followed all the rules. Mom, Dad, I followed all the rules. Why did it not work out the way that I wanted? Well, one of the answers to that series of questions, is this 1920s wisdom that I'm giving out today. It's always been all there, right in front of us. The key is when do we decide that we want to hear it? When do we decide that we want it? Do we decide at 20? Man, I wish I knew at 20. I didn't know at 20. 30? 40? Do you not know till 80? Hey, who cares if you don't know till 80? Maybe you live to 100. You got 20 years of knowing how it all works. What the hell? Maybe they'll get this life extension stuff going and you'll get another 20 years. You go to 120. That means you'll have 40 years of knowing how it's done right. Get a little plastic surgery, a little weightlifting. Next thing you know, you'll be so spry in your early 100s, about 101. You'll be chasing girls in their 30s. Hell, maybe even their 20s. There's a great TED video of this guy who's 95 years old. He looks like he's 50 physically. Amazing. Let me get back to the important stuff. If a man is both wise and lucky, he will not make the same mistake twice, but he will make any one of the 10,000 brothers or cousins of the original. The mistake family is so large that there is always one of them around when you want to see what you can do in the full play line. This is another great one. A man cannot be convinced against his own convictions, but he can be talked into a state of uncertainty and indecision, which is even worse, for that means that he cannot trade with confidence and comfort. I've done nothing in my life but trade in stocks and commodities. I naturally think that if it is wrong to be bearish, it must be right to be a bull. And if it is right to be a bull, it is imperative to buy. As my old Palm Beach friend said, you can't tell till you bet. I must prove whether I am right on the market or not. And the proofs are to be read only in my broker's statements at the end of the month. And for those of you that want the greatest stock tip to come flying at you right now, consider. It has always seemed to me the height of damn foolishness to trade on tips. I suppose I am not built the way a tip taker is. I sometimes think that tip takers are like drunkards. There are some who can't resist the craving and always look forward to those jags which they consider indispensable to their happiness. It is so easy to open your ears and let the tip in, to be told precisely what to do to be happy. Dead on. I am not saying that there are not some special people that have great insights. Overall, though, unless you have that really special person. But when you take a tip, remember, you need the tip to get out too, don't you? Because if you get in, at some point in time, you got to get out. So at least make the deal with the tip giver that if he gives you one, make sure you get the exit on the way as well. And here's the 1920s wisdom on numbers. Observation, experience, memory, and mathematics. These are what the successful trader must depend on. He must bet always on the probabilities. That is, try to anticipate them. Years of practice at the game, of constant study, of always remembering, enable the trader to act on the instant when the unexpected happens, as well as when the expected comes to pass. Now, even before this trader in the 1920s, there were others, as I mentioned at the top. Dixon Watts was one of those others. He's referred to in this next quotation. It was not difficult to be both fearless and patient. A speculator must have faith in himself and in his judgment. The late Dixon Watts, ex-president of the New York Cotton Exchange and famous author of Speculation as a Fine Art, a book you should read, says that courage in a speculator is merely confidence to act on the decision of his mind. With me, I cannot fear to be wrong because I can never think I am wrong until I am proven wrong. In fact, I'm uncomfortable unless I'm capitalizing on my experience. The course of the market at a given time does not necessarily prove me wrong. It is the character of the advance or of the decline that determines for me the correctness or the fallacy of my market position. I can only rise by knowledge. If I fall, it must be by my own blunders. Got to take responsibility. No matter what we do, it's all on us. It's not on the guy hiding behind the tree. It's not on Janet Yellen. It's not on Bernanke. It's not on Greenspan. It's not on Obama. It's not on Bush. It's not on Clinton. It's not on Bush. It's not on Reagan. It's not on Carter. It's not on Nixon, Ford, whoever. They're just lackeys. Really, they're lackeys. They show up every couple years and pretend they're all powerful, pretend like they control your life, pretend like they control the markets. Oh, maybe they can for a little while. But the markets have a funny way. When the markets find that it is time to deliver a warning shot, when the markets find that it is time to deliver a cleansing flood, it comes without warning. And those powerful leaders, those powerful politicians, those powerful central bankers, they can't stop it. All you can do is to have a strategy before the flood, not after the flood. After the flood, you're fucked. You got to have it before. Oh, everything that I'm reading today, this is about before the flood. This is the stuff you have to know before, not after. I mean, you can learn it after, but you might be broke. You don't want to be playing this game broke. If you're playing this game broke, well, you're not really playing this game. You're just watching. You got to have some money. If you go broke, you're toast. You're gone. You're out. You can't play. I love this next one. The big money in booms is always made first by the public on paper, and it remains on paper. Go back to the dot-com bubble. Look, the NASDAQ's basically at the same place that it was in the year 2000. 16 years later. A lot of paper profits that were never realized. It will happen again. It always happens again. It never stops. It's the cycle. It's the human cycle. Forget the business cycle. It's the human cycle. Because us humans, we just crazy. We just flat out crazy, man. We never get it right. Well, I'm using the expression we right now, but I like to imagine myself as looking from the clouds down at the we, so I can separate myself from the insanity that is the crowd behavior. We all need to do that at all times. Bring ourselves outside of the crowd. Imagine yourself flying on a drone, looking down on the insanity of the markets. That's the place to be. That's what all this 1920s wisdom is all about. Looking down on the activity that never changes. And trying to say, wow, if that's what human nature is, let's lay down some philosophies. Let's lay down some techniques that allow us to deal with this very permanent human nature. Oh, this next one is so good. But a belief in miracles kept people from selling what remained of their speculative holdings. The point being, if what you have left is all that you have left and the market is going against you and you're waiting for a miracle, you're done. It's over. The game's over. Go out for a drink. Get drunk. You've already screwed up every which way you possibly can. Take the lesson. Now that you're broke, you got nothing left and you're hanging on and you're hoping and you're praying and you want a miracle? That's your strategy? Game over, kids. Let's go to the batting cage and take some cuts, get some aggression out. Really, because at that point in time, you've gone the wrong direction. There's no recovery. You can start over. You can reset. You can reboot. But that particular game is over. This next one, beautiful. I quite cold-bloodedly reached the conclusion that I would never be able to accomplish anything useful so long as I was worried about money. It's that double-edged sword, right? You worry about the money, you think about the money, you must have the money, you never get the damn money. This is the process versus outcome issue, which is what everything I'm talking about today ultimately comes down to. Having a process in place, a trading system in place, a trend-following trading system in place, following that process. The outcome, however, will be variable. It will be volatile. It won't come in a straight line. If you want 1% a month, you've got Bernard Madoff. If you want 1% a month, you've got long-term capital management. Either a scam or something that will soon blow up. Which do you choose? How would you like to die? The reality, what you really want is variability in return, because that's real life. Real life is variable. If you have something that makes money every month, that's not real life. Think about 12 months of the year. It might look pretty good to go January 0%, February 0%, March minus 5%, April minus 2%, May plus 20%. Can you live with that 5 months of return? Can you live with that idea? That's real. That's how the world works. It doesn't work the other way. The other way is the either scam or a fund or a strategy soon to blow up. The ones that deliver the consistency. You don't want consistency. Consistency is the scarlet letter. Consistency is the death blow. If you have consistency in investing, you are either JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs with access that no one else has, or you're damn lucky. And that damn lucky usually doesn't last that long. It might last for a little while. You might become famous even, featured in the magazines, write a book, become well known. And then one day, that strategy of being consistent, small consistent wins, one day you wake up and the market shows up with a sledgehammer and says, please, would you like to lay down on the ground? Put your head on the concrete for me, please. Thank you. Take a deep breath. And now I'm going to smash you with a sledgehammer for using a really bad strategy. That's how it works. That's life. This one's so damn good too. I was sick, nervous, and upset, and unable to reason calmly. That is, I was in the frame of mind in which no speculator should be when trading. You're sick, you're nervous, you're upset, you can't be calm? Stop. Walk away. Why do you need it that bad? Go read Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow, again. Go read Phil Tetlock's book. Let me read one more great one. There is nothing like losing all you have in the world for teaching you what not to do. And when you know what not to do in order not to lose money, you begin to learn what to do in order to win. Did you get that? You begin to learn. Every last piece of wisdom that I have seen in nearly 20 years springs right from the thinking, the wisdom, the understanding, the philosophy, and the many statements that I've put in this podcast episode. This is it. This is the core. Now again, you can find many different rules within these philosophies. They're all going to be trend following rules. They're all going to be based on price action. But there's many different ways to skin the cat. But on the flip side, if Facebook goes from 100 to 1,000, there are going to be many different ways to skin the cat. But if you're a trend following trader, you want to capture the bulk of that move, period. So whatever technique you decide to use has to capture the bulk of that unexpected move that I just described in Facebook. That's the objective. At all times, you need to be ready to capture the unexpected trend that goes from 100 to 1,000. And you can do that with trend following rules. You can do that without knowing a damn thing about the particular stock or the commodity. It doesn't make a difference about the fundamentals. Everything that I've put on the plate today is ignorant of the fundamentals. Doesn't require the fundamentals. It requires for you to look inside yourself and follow the price action. If you can do that, you are going to get rich as hell. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.